morning. It is still super early. The sun has, it doesn't even look like it's come up because it is really foggy and it looks like it's actually gonna rain today. So I don't know if it is, but it definitely looks like there's a storm rolling in. But the kids are all still sleeping. They actually don't have to be up for a couple more hours for school. We have a full school day today and it's going to be a long day. So I wanted to start off by getting up early and making some cinnamon Amish bread. That is something that I have made for close to 15 years. It is one of my kids' absolute favorite things to have for like breakfast or even dessert. So I'm going to make that, I hope. I say that because we don't really have milk. We only have a tiny bit and I think it uses like 2 cups and I don't know if I have that much. So I might have some powdered milk on hand. If so, we're gonna make some cinnamon Amish bread. If not, we will do something else. We'll pivot and figure something else out. So anyway, let's get started on some of that. Forgot to add, of course, first we need to start with coffee. So let's start with coffee and then we'll get to the bread. I love quiet mornings like this where I can get up way ahead of the kids, be able to enjoy a nice cup of coffee by myself in the peace and quiet of our house. I do have to admit though, I have not been very good about waking up early recently. Since Christmas, I did not realize that the medicine that I was taking was actually making me really, really tired. And I am a person that like I cannot even take NyQuil, and I don't unless my husband is home the next day. So any type of drowsy medication really knocks me out, and unfortunately the medicine that I take, it does have drowsy effects. So I have trouble getting up in the morning now. I will be really, really happy when I do not have to take this anymore and I can enjoy nice quiet mornings again. As you can see, I did find powdered milk in the cabinet. I was pretty happy about that, and that was the last bit I had. It made just exactly 2 cups, which is what I needed for the recipe. So I was really grateful that I had some of that on hand. And you know, for the longest time, I never used powdered milk. However, it has saved me so many times with baking. So definitely that is something that you want to have on hand just in your pantry in case you have moments like these where you really want to bake something and you don't have any milk. Whatever it is lately, I'm like really bad at getting the staples at the grocery store. Sugar is one of them. You can see that it's pretty low. We, for the second week in a row, have ran out of sugar between baking and prepping food and just whatever else we use it for. We have ran out twice within the last 2 weeks. So whatever that is, I need to kind of stock up on some of the staples again, I think. If you're curious at all about this recipe, this is the Amish cinnamon bread. I have made this a couple of times, I think, on my channel. It's been a while though, so I will have the recipe down below in the description box if you want to give it a try. I was just trying to refill my flour. And I did not know. I saw it like kind of falling on the side, but did not know it had a giant hole in it. So it was all falling out. Okay, so I'll have to put that in something else, but I just thought that was kind of funny. That's how it goes. This recipe makes 2 loaves, and I'm sure you can freeze it. However, I have never been able to get that far. Usually, if I'm making this, we have not had it in a while, so my kids will scarf both of these loaves down in just a couple of days. My husband also really likes bringing them to work. The guys at the shop really enjoy it, and if we're having guests from out of town or anything, I usually will also make that. So this is not something that I have ever frozen, but I'm pretty sure it would freeze pretty well. So if that is something that you're wanting to do, like I said, this does make 2 loaves, so I'm assuming you could put the second one in the freezer if you needed to. This batter is usually a thicker batter. I want to say it's a thicker pancake type batter, and I don't usually ever have to make adjustments. Even moving throughout the time, I know that like location and weather and stuff like that can alter recipes. This is not one of them that I've ever had to alter with flour or adding more milk or anything. It usually does really well. I usually start with the butter, sugar, and eggs and vanilla. I mix those together really well before I add the flour and baking soda. I always make sure that I add those 2 dry ingredients together, and then once I have that mixed together, then I add in the milk and fully incorporate everything. So it does make a thicker batter, and I've never had to make any of the adjustments for it. But once I have that mixed up, you can see here I have 2 separate bread pans, and I did not always, but if you have been here for a while, I always like to line my pans when I'm baking with parchment paper. It just makes it so much easier to pull the loaves out, and it makes for easy cleanup. So that is what I have here. I do have the pans greased, and then I put the parchment paper in, and I put in about a quarter of the batter in each one of these pans. So we've used about half, and then what I'm doing here is I am making a cinnamon sugar mixture to go in between. So I have a quarter of the batter in each, and then I will put in the same amounts for the cinnamon sugar mixture, so it'll be about a quarter of what I'm mixing together here. I'll put those pretty heavily on top. You'll sit there and kind of wonder, like, is this too much? It's not. It creates a nice cinnamon swirl layer, so it adds a nice crunch and stuff like that. So even though it looks like a lot, I swear it is not. So I put a really heavy layer on top of each layer, and then I will put the remainder of the batter over top of it, and then I'll finish it off with the cinnamon sugar before I swirl it all together. I have always just used a butter knife to do this portion, and you don't want to over mix it. You have to kind of find the sweet spot, I guess, because you want to mix it enough to where there is a cinnamon swirl. And trust me, I have forgotten to actually swirl these before when I have been like a chaotic mess in the kitchen, and it just tastes like vanilla bread whenever you make it without swirling it. So anyway, you do want to swirl it, and what I do is I just bring the knife through completely and make sure I get that middle layer too, and just swirl it around, do like a zigzag pattern, and then I'll just throw it in the oven. Now, when it is baking, I feel like it always looks like it's overdone. You will continue to bake it until when you insert a knife into the center, it comes out clean. It's similar to a cake like that. So if it's not coming out clean, you need to continue to put it back in, and it will look like it's getting overdone, but I promise it is just that sugar layer over top that adds like a crunchiness, and it gets a lot darker than what it is. So once it's all done cooking and you pull it out, it will look really dark, and you will get nervous that you burned it, but I promise you didn't. You just cut it open and it is absolutely perfect. One thing about baking and making things from scratch is your kitchen is always a disaster. So I'm trying to clean it up and get it nice and wiped down before the kids come in for school. We don't usually do a lot of work in the kitchen, but Theo does some of his stuff here at the island. He has like a couple of videos for his reading, and so he does those in here so he doesn't disturb the other kids. For whatever reason, we cannot get his like software to connect to headphones. So whatever that is, I'm not a very tech savvy person, but my older two are, and for whatever reason we cannot figure out how to connect it. So he sits in here oftentimes to work on his reading for the video portion, and then a lot of times we'll do like science experiments and stuff in here. So I want to always start it off with a nice clean slate before the kids come in. It just makes our mornings go so much smoother. Here's the boys' little plants that they did. We have just a piece of saran wrap over it so they stay moist, but they're starting to grow. The boys are super excited. So I believe only, let me see. So all the peas have sprouted, and then this one is a cucumber. So that one has, but I don't think any others have. Anyway, they're pretty excited about that. So we've just been keeping it here on the island because it gets usually a lot of sun here, especially in the morning. And they just really took off. We only did this a couple days ago. So anyway, those are doing good. They're always excited to check on those. And then whenever we go to plant them in the garden, they get really excited about checking on them there too. My flowers from Valentine's Day, it's been a couple weeks, they're starting to look a little rough. So I might pick out a couple here and there that are just not looking too hot. But anyway, we got the kitchen all cleared up, ready for school. The kids have started waking up, and the bread has only been in there for about 10 minutes. But it already smells incredible. So I know that once they start getting up and trickling in, they will be asking, what is that? What is that? They will be excited when they find out that I woke up early and baked them some. So here's what I was referring to when I was talking about it looking really overdone and kind of burned. It has very dark areas, and it doesn't anymore because I've been making this for a long time, but I feel like whenever there are new people that are watching me bake this, they're like, oh, that's a little done. I think you left that in there a little too long. But I check it enough times to know whenever it is actually done in the center. So I never end up over baking it. It just always looks like that. So here it is, cut open, and see how it's nice and done on the inside. It's not overdone or dry. It makes a perfect breakfast with a nice smear of butter on top. I ended up cutting up this one loaf and then I paired it with some egg bites. I put that on the table with the butter, and the kids had a really nice breakfast. The sun decided to come out just for a little bit this afternoon. It was really nice because we've had some really foggy days here recently. The weather is kind of getting warmer and it's nice, but then it kind of teases you a little bit and dips down back into the cold weather. It's nice for a moment because you start to have that glimpse of spring and you're like, oh, we're going to be outside playing in no time, and it makes you think about the garden and everything to look forward to in these warm months coming up. But right when you start having all of those feelings and getting excited about that, it starts to get cold again, it feels like. Anyway, I am back in the kitchen and I am starting on lunch. It's been a few hours. We have school already done and I am getting to some lunch. Just a bit of an FYI, I do know that my shirt is like wet. And to be completely honest, I think it stays like wet most of the rest of the video because I kept getting into stuff and just getting water on myself. I don't know what my deal was, but whatever it was, this outfit was like constantly getting water spilled on it this day. I think the boys ended up spilling something, and then I was like helping with dishes, and then I got water spilled on me there too. It was like multiple times, but it was just water, so I wasn't too concerned about it. As I was editing, I was kind of cracking up that my shirt was just in a constant state of being wet this day, and I was just very much over it. I think when you're like an overstimulated mom, you're just like, whatever it is. It is what it is. Eventually it's like, I'm just going to get all this done, get my pajamas on, and try not to let every single thing bother me. But you have those days, and this was definitely one of them. This week I feel like was so testing. I just felt constantly overstimulated. It was just one thing after another, and I feel like that is the theme here the last several months. It just is, I always wait for things to kind of slow down, and it just doesn't, and I'm just waiting for that calm. I'm not looking forward to my surgery. Actually, it's quite the opposite. As we're inching closer, I'm getting a little bit more anxious about it. But one thing I am looking forward to is the relaxation after. I know that the recovery is going to be quite extensive, but I don't know. I'm just looking forward to the peace and being able to just be able to relax and not have to worry about a whole bunch of things for a while. So it's like I'm looking forward to it in a way, but also I'm completely dreading it, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway, so I am making what I have made a million times on my channel. So if you need a little catch up, I'm just making a TikTok salad. It is basically like a sub and a bowl type of thing. So what you would get at a sub shop, it has similar things. And then I just make the dressing for that. I will put the recipe down below in the description box, but honestly, it can really vary depending on what you like in your particular salad. I also made some baked sandwiches. They look like grilled cheese, but it is turkey and cheese, and I just pop those in the oven, and then they'll have a side of the salad, and that is lunch. I also did not have any lunch meat after I made the sandwiches, and usually the salad has like whatever lunch meat you want to put into it. It actually, so the original recipe has like salami and turkey and ham and cheese, and it just has so many things, and I don't usually add all that. Usually I'll just pick like one, possibly two to put in. However, I had nothing after I made the sandwiches, and I did have some of the Popeye's copycat blackened chicken in the fridge, so I warmed a little bit of that up, chopped it up, and it was actually really delicious in the salad. Lunches around here are usually kept really simple, just like this. If it is not a simple thing that we throw together, a lot of times it is leftovers between all the hustle and bustle of homeschool. And if I'm already in the kitchen making like breakfast and dinner, I usually don't want to also have to make a big lunch. So I will usually keep lunch very simple. So like I did sandwiches and salad, that is pretty much the theme. A lot of times we'll do soup or leftovers. It just is always very simple. I'm getting started on the chicken for dinner tonight. I wanted to get that going in the oven, so I'm starting that right after lunch so it has time to cook, and then I can pull apart for dinner tonight. Hello, welcome back. Good afternoon. We are about to start dinner here in just a minute. I always like to jump on right before, and then I'll come back whenever it is ready to plate. Sorry if it is a little loud. I just started my washer, so I'm going to keep this short and simple, but we are going to be starting some enchiladas tonight. So I'm going to be starting those. I'm pretty sure my husband's going to be on time tonight, so I'm not going to wait until later to do anything. But I'm about to start those, and then I will see you back here whenever we're plating. The chicken just came out of the oven, so I'm going to let it cool down for a second before I try to shred it, and then that is what's going to be in our enchiladas tonight. See what I mean about my shirt? It did not stand a chance this day. I was just getting into all kinds of stuff while I was doing this. So I'm actually, because I'm having surgery, I'm trying to plan ahead and actually like make more videos. So I was doing a ton of stuff in between this, trying to film as much as I possibly can to be able to have videos for you guys. So anyway, I'm just cracking myself up because my shirt was just, I think right before this, I was like getting laundry in, but I was soaking it and I think it just got all over me. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is. But, so the chicken, I diced it up and I put it into this bowl, and then you saw me adding some cream of chicken. I'm going to take this onion that I needed to use up and dice that up. It's about half an onion, maybe a little more, but I'm going to throw that in. A lot of times I'll use like a smaller onion for this and dice it up really small. So that is what I'm doing here. You can also add in like peppers and stuff. Those are a really good addition, and I usually like adding those. I just don't have any on hand. I add in an entire can of these chilies, and I don't get the spicy ones, so I add in the entire thing. I have gotten like the hot ones on accident before, and I just put in a little bit of it because they are kind of spicy. So anyway, I'm adding all that in. I do not add the entire pack of the taco seasoning. I just add about half. So I'll mix that all up, and then that is going to be the filling for the enchiladas tonight. You can use corn tortillas. I'm just using flour. This recipe, I always just use flour for whatever reason. I don't know if I've actually tried it with corn tortillas, but the other more traditional enchiladas I make with corn tortillas, and it's so good like that. These are just, I don't know, I just learned making it with flour and I never really thought to change it. So anyway, I'm using flour, but feel free to use corn. And if you do, let me know how they taste. But I'm filling them up. I put like a little a pretty big dollop right in the center, and I just roll them like that, and I put them seam side down, and I just fill this pan, which I did grease ahead of time. So I'll fill them all up, and usually I have enough for a couple of more in another pan. So I'll end up filling this pan up, and then I think I have about 3 left over to make with another casserole dish. Now that we have all of the enchiladas rolled up, I'm going to be making the sauce that goes over top. I don't usually use an entire can, but I wanted more sauce this time, so I'm using an entire can of cream of chicken. I'll use the remainder of the taco seasoning, and then I take that cream of chicken can and I add almost a full can of milk to that. And then I'll put that in the mixture and mix it all up, and then top both of the baking dishes with that and cheese before I put it in the oven. Okay, these are all ready to go in the oven. I'm also going to make some rice. I'll chop up some veggies to go on the side as well. But these are something that you can prepare ahead of time. So you can freeze them if you want. And I think I'm actually going to for one of my upcoming videos where I'm going to freeze a bunch of different things for some quick meals whenever I'm having my surgery. A really good meal to serve when you have people over because it always goes over very well. Anyway, so this is a great meal to freeze ahead of time and then be able to pull out of the freezer and just pop right into the oven. It is just as delicious that way, but you can also do this. So let's say you're not freezing it, but you have some time ahead of time. I love meals that I can prepare in the morning and then be able to put in the oven come dinner time. So I can prepare it whenever I have a couple of moments in the morning, just cover it, put it in the fridge, and then put it right in the oven in the evening. So I really love this meal because you can really do that with that, or you can just prepare it like I just did and throw it in the oven. It is a very versatile meal to do ahead of time though. Anyway, I'm going to get these in the oven and start some rice. I'm keeping the rice very simple tonight. The enchiladas, they're kind of heavier enchiladas, so I'm just keeping the rice nice and simple. So usually I don't use any type of measurements. I just put a little bit of oil in. I put a couple cups of rice. I use whatever seasoning I want. I did a little bit of the chicken bouillon tonight. I don't always usually do that, but I wanted a little bit extra flavor. I mix it around really well, pour a couple cups of water in, and then I put the lid on to steam the rest of the way. All right, dinner is done. It is just coming out of the oven. Here is how our enchiladas turned out. I like them a little bit more on the done side, so I always kind of broil them for a minute or so, but that is how they look. Our rice, I'm just warming up a little bit. And then I chopped up some veggies and stuff over here. We have tomatoes. I'm usually just about the only one that will eat those though. Sometimes Lincoln will have them. He, I think, is my only kid. And even Kyle doesn't really care for tomatoes unless they're like in something, but I think Lincoln is the only kid that actually likes tomatoes with me, and he's kind of borderline. I love them. They're one of my favorites. Anyway, so we have some tomatoes. I diced up some lettuce, some cucumbers, and avocados. Now I did this many, and oftentimes I'll make guacamole, but I was not in the mood to make that today. But I needed to use these up, and so that is why I'm serving a whole bunch of them. My kids love avocados, so I'm sure those will all be gone. Anyway, we got some hot sauce, some taco sauce. I put these out, but they're actually spicier than I remember them being, and so I don't know if people are really eating those. Some salsa. I got some olives out. My older son, he likes olives, just the black ones, on like pizza and pasta and sometimes taco type meals. So I got those out in case he wanted to open those, and then some sour cream. But anyway, that is dinner. So I'm going to plate it up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.